Blackstone Publishing presents Postgate, How the Washington Post Betrayed Deep Throat, Covered Up Watergate, and Began Today's Partisan Advocacy Journalism, by John O'Connor. This book is read by Joe Barrett. To my first grandson, John Michael Kawaja, DOB 9/9/2018, in hopes that he will live in a society in which our news media attempt to report as objectively as possible all salient facts, varying opinions are encouraged, and the marketplace of ideas is truly open for business. Introduction. In April 2002, I began representing Mark Felt, a man I knew was Watergate's deep throat, but who had not yet admitted that to his family, or, of course, to me. I soon persuaded Mark to admit his identity, in major part by promising him that I would tell the world his story and that of his beloved FBI. I would not leave him or his bureau, I told him, at the mercy of description after death by Bob Woodward, the Washington Post reporter with whom he worked to end a successful cover-up of responsibility for the Watergate burglary. As I will describe in this book, my precautionary advice about Woodward's post-mortem depiction was prescient. My promise to him to tell his story widely and well, it turned out, took on far more significance than I could have predicted. I wrote what I think was a decent article in Vanity Fair magazine in June 2005. I'm the guy they called Deep Throat, revealing Mark's role and recounting his motives, a piece I credit in no small part to my brilliant editor, David Friend. But my later book, A G-Man's Life, traveled a much rockier path as I tried to fulfill in more depth my promise to Mark. Because of interference from my publisher of A G-Man's Life, I was unable either to expound on the complex relationship between this omniscient source and the glorified journalist who was his outlet, nor upon Mark's investigative insights that Watergate was about far more than Nixonian evil. To the contrary, I wish to detail that the churlish and unattractive Nixon may well have been a victim, as much as a victimizer in Watergate, without, I hasten to add, offering excuse for his criminal behavior. Much of the Watergate story that Mark Felt wished to tell was, in short, not told at the time, and I was frustrated in my efforts to tell it later. To top off my constrained authorial performance, the book was marketed seemingly so amateurishly that the publisher's promotional efforts likely suppressed sales rather than enhanced them. However, some years after publication, I realized I had been, and more importantly my client had been, victimized not by ineptitude, but...
Sample complete. Ready to continue?